Boom, we are live. It's Chris Igoe Home Group, powered by Simply Home South Florida. And it is a great day in South Florida. We are doing big things. We are getting stuff done. And my home office is a disaster area. Let me just quickly test to ensure that this puppy is streaming everywhere it's supposed to be streaming. Let's see here. All right. Bum, bum, bum. Real estate cold calls group. I think this is streaming everywhere. Let me turn that down a scotch. All right. So I'm still getting used to the Restream platform. So if this is not streaming the right way, then thank you for being part of my learning curve. What is the name of the group? Real Estate Cold Calls. That is where we are at. And it does not appear that we are streaming the right way. Oh, it is working. All right. Well, what I just learned in this restreaming scenario is that yesterday's title no longer is appropriate for today. So I am going to change that in real time. And if you are watching live, then thank you for doing so. I appreciate your patience. Once again, we are going to change that. So the name of this is going to be how to convert buyer, convert. Actually, let me see if I can share my screen. I don't know what you can see or not see right now. But again, I am a Restream virgin, so I'm gonna have to work out the kinks here. How to convert buyer leads into signed buyer brokerage clients. So I don't think you can see let's see if I can share this. Description. I'll change the description later. That's the title. Oh, I may have screwed this whole thing up. I don't know. Yeah, buddy. All right. Facebook user saying, yeah, buddy. The downside to this is not that there's a big downside, but on the Restream platform, I can't see who's commenting. So everybody's just Facebook user. And it doesn't look like I got a lot of people out there anyway. So to all two of you, thank you for watching. All right. That being said, as I mentioned, the focus of today's content is to show you exactly how we take a real estate lead and convert that into a signed buyer brokerage client, right? So I got real intent, and just to give you a quick backstory here. So when I first got into real estate, the thing I was most interested in doing was learning how to master the listing presentation, right? So I wanted to go out there, I wanted to get listings. And in order to do that, I needed to have a world-class listing presentation and be able to execute and provide value around what that listing presentation was comprised of, right? But when I first started out, I was amazing on the phones. It didn't take me very long to set appointments. In fact, it didn't take me any time whatsoever. I already had that skill set. So when I would get on the phone, I would invariably set an appointment for myself. I would go to that appointment and I just had no I had no ammo. I had no bullets in my gun. So I would go there, and I was quickly exposed to the fact that I didn't know how to do a listing presentation. So, or nor could I provide any value around that listing presentation. I just didn't know what I didn't know. So I had to dial that in. I had to become an expert at that. And I did that as quickly as I possibly could. But all of my time and attention at first was focused on getting those listings. I didn't really spend a lot of time on a buyer presentation. So, and the truth is, I really didn't want to. I wanted to spend all my time on getting new listings, generating new listings, creating opportunities for new listings. And so that's where all my focus was. When I realized that my buyer presentation sucked too, I needed to dial that in, and I needed to make sure that that was world class, just like my listing presentation was. So I put a lot of intentionality behind that, but I wanted to ensure that anybody that I ever took through my buyer presentation, at the end of that, would sign a contract that said that they would only work with me as their to represent them to buy a house. So spent a lot of time, a lot of intention, and I'm going to share that with you now, right? So whether it's a Facebook lead, whether it's a YouTube lead, whether it's any lead on planet Earth, doesn't matter. If they're in person, great. If they're online, that's great too. I prefer to do everything now via Zoom. The technology is such that you can do that. So I can do everything completely virtually, 100% online. I never necessarily have to go to anybody's house. I never have to necessarily meet anybody. I can do the whole process from soup to nuts completely virtually by leveraging technology. So yeah, let's get some. So all that being said, that's a little bit of buildup here to my buyer presentation, right? So I'm going to I'll use an example for myself, right? So I put out a lot of YouTube content. That content is very purposeful. I want to provide information of value for someone who is organically searching for information about moving to Florida. They watch the video, they determine that they want to hire me. They will reach out to me. So that will either be a phone call, it'll be an email, it'll be a text message. I like to joke around and say they can send a smoke signal or by any means necessary, but it doesn't matter how they connect with me. They somehow invariably reach out, they connect with me, and I pivot them into, excuse me, the downside of drinking Sifo seltzer water is you burp. So they reach out, we set the appointment, I send them to a Zoom consultation, and then we jump on a Zoom. And in that Zoom, I take them through this presentation, which if you do not have a buyer presentation that is world-class, then you need to do that immediately. Because if you're winging it, I used to wing it, and I would not convert at a high rate. Now I convert at almost 100%. I don't remember the last time I didn't convert somebody that I took through this process from beginning to end. In fact, what normally happens is I determine that I don't want to work with them because they're not ready or not qualified or whatever that looks like. So that's a great position to be in. So I suggest that you get there as quickly as you can. All right, I'm going to share my screen. All righty. And boom, now I'm sharing my screen. And what you will see, hopefully, is finding your new home. Simply Home South Florida, Chris Igoe, Realtor, and all of my contact information. I'm going to check and see here if it's working. Looks like it is. Okay, cool. So you can see it. That's great. So you've reached out to me. You're looking to buy a home. I pivoted you to a Zoom consultation. And in this Zoom consultation, what you can't see right now, well, actually, I don't know what you can see. But in the top of the screen, there's going to be a picture. There's going to be me, and there's going to be whoever the client is. The cool thing about this is if you are working with a buyer's agent, or if you have a team and you want to bring somebody else onto this consultation, you absolutely can. I know a lot of people who will also pop in a lender on this presentation. All of those are great ideas. So you can scale this, you can duplicate this, you can really leverage this to the highest level, and you can save yourself a shit ton of time if you pivot all of this to being an online consultation. So that is what I have done. I've done it at a pretty high level. And it's allowed me to have a lot more visibility in my business, and then be able to track what the future looks like, because I know how many buyer brokerages that we've signed. And in the pipeline right now, that number is something close to somewhere between 40 and 50 million. We've closed over 10 so far. But whatever, it's a great way to have a good read on what your future year will look like, right? You know how many buyer brokerages you signed, you know what your income is going to be, assuming you can sell them a house. That's a totally different piece of content that we can save for another time. But in this market, there are a lot of things that you need to be able to do in order to get your contract accepted. Again, I'm not going to do that now. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. So this is what I say. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. There are so many other realtors out there. I'm honored that you selected me. In this consultation, I'm going to give you the 5,000-foot overview of what it's like to buy a home. Now, look, this is a canned presentation, so not everything will be necessarily relevant to you. So if we come on one of those spots, let me know. I can speed it up as much as possible or skip over sections if it's not relevant to you. But I never know who I'm going to speak to. So you might be a new home buyer and have no experience, or you may be maybe this is your fifth home. I don't know. I don't know that up front. So just bear in mind it is canned. But I'm going to answer every question that you have. And at the end of this process, you'll understand exactly what we do, how we do it, and how we're of value to you. And I hope we'll determine whether we're a good fit for each other. All right. They say yes. Outstanding. Okay. So I'm Chris Igoe. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I know you've probably seen some content online. I'm originally from New Jersey. I'm a 40-year South Florida resident. I'm married to my wife, Mariana, since 2013. We've got two beautiful daughters, Sawyer and Brooke, unless, of course, Brooke is in the room, in which case I have to say Brooke and Sawyer because they fight like hell. And they don't really fight like hell, but they kind of do. I don't necessarily go into that level of detail, but whatever. If you saw the post on my regular Facebook page, you saw that they are they will fight for the spotlight until they get it. So all right, so I'm very involved in the community. I enjoy coaching, working out, and helping people achieve their real estate dreams, or achieve their dreams. Let me tell you a little bit about my real estate career. I got licensed in 2013. In 2015, we launched Igoe Home Group. In 2018, we were ranked top 50 in the state of Florida for RE/MAX. And in 2020, we scaled the business to help more buyers, more sellers, more agents achieve their real estate dreams. And let me tell you a little bit about what we do. All right. We are a full-time, full-service real estate team, which works together to accomplish your real estate goal. Now, in this picture, you see some of the players that are involved. It's not everybody. We trying to get everybody together to take a picture these days is like herding cats. So that's impossible. But just know that you are fully supported, you are fully insulated, and we have a full team of professionals to ensure that your real estate goals are achieved, period. Now, in the last 18 months, we've negotiated over $2 million back to our clients through negotiation, and we are very proud of that. I don't know what the market's like where you're at, and at this point, they say it's crazy, because it's crazy everywhere. It's fiercely competitive down here. So to be able to, and what does that mean? It means there's lots of buyers, there's not a lot of sellers, there's multiple offers, they are very aggressive. Prices are increasing. In spite of all that, we were still able to negotiate over $2 million back to our clients. That in and of itself, drop the mic, you're hired. I don't say that, I'm sharing that with you, but that's an actual fact. So we service all of Broward and Palm Beach County. We specialize in finding exactly what you want and getting you the best deal possible. Now, we have a very strict 100% no pressure policy. So at no point is anybody going to lean on you and give you any type of sales pressure. If you ever feel that, if you ever experience that, then please let me know, because it's not tolerated. We're going to treat you like family, unless, of course, you don't like your family, in which case we're going to treat you better than family. And our service is 100% free to you. Seller pays commission. Any questions so far? And of course, they say no. So this is the home buyer's roadmap. And again, this is, bear with me here if you've been through this before, but again, I want to make sure that you've got the 5,000 foot overview from start to finish. So step number one is what we're doing right now. You're meeting with a real estate professional. Step number two is to get pre-approved. Now, are you a cash buyer? Or are you going to be financing? And then at this point, they'll start giving me information about where they're at in their process. If they're approved, if they're not approved, I start to get some information now. If there was a lender on this call with me, which I don't do that right now, I will probably elect to do that here in the near future, because it just positions you more as an authority. But frankly, you're already positioned as an authority if you go through this presentation. Okay, so now if they're working with another lender, that's fine. And what I always say to them is this: you're more than absolutely, you can use any lender that you want to use. I have no problem with that whatsoever. What I want you to be very mindful of is that in Florida, the contract defaults to a 30-day loan approval. I'm here to tell you, if you have a 30-day loan approval, you have 0% chance of your contract being accepted, period. It is far too competitive. There are far too many lenders that can do it in a much shorter time frame, and all of our lenders can do that. So it is important that you speak to your lender. If you elect to use someone else, which again is fine, you need to ensure that they reduce that timeline as much as humanly possible so that you have a competitive advantage. Our lenders are able to do that. The fastest I've ever seen is 5 days. 10 is more typical. 15 days is like the max. So you want to be within that window. If you've got a 30-day loan approval, again, you're dead in the water. So would it offend you if I sent you my lender's contact information so that you can have a discovery call with him? And again, if it's not a good fit or it doesn't, you don't have to use him. You're not married to him, but I would encourage you to at least have that conversation, because I want you to have every competitive advantage that you can have. All of that's true. I'm not trying to pivot them to somebody because there's some financial incentive for me to do that. I'm doing that because there's 0%, there's no bullshit. There's no chance that your contract's getting accepted if you have a 30-day loan approval in this market. So it's real important to qualify at this stage and to get as much information as you can, because if they're not willing to do those things, then you don't want to work with them. So they think they're interviewing you, and to some degree they are, but really you're interviewing them. You want to know whether they're qualified or not. If they are not qualified, and if they're not willing to sign a buyer brokerage contract at the end of this, you don't want to waste your time, because you will waste an infinite amount of time. You have to lead the process from beginning to end. If you let anybody lead the process other than yourself, you will lose. That is my experience. So you want to become an expert at the process, and you want to lead them every step of the way. Always, obviously, with their best interest in mind, but you have to lead the process. And if you don't, you are done. At least that's my experience. All right, so get pre-approved. Step 3 is we're going to search for homes. Now, I'm going to get very detailed on this in a minute, but that's just how this works for the overview. Step 4 is we're going to make an offer. Step 5, contract will be accepted, and we'll negotiate. It's possible that it might be declined because it got a better offer. But for now, let's just stay on track that it got accepted. We will go under contract and into escrow. That's step 6. 7, we're going to have an inspection. We're going to have an appraisal, and we're going to have a loan commitment, unless, of course, they're a cash buyer, in which case there is no appraisal and there is no loan approval. That's obviously best, but I want to address all the issues as they come up. And then step 8, woohoo, we're going to celebrate. We're going to throw a party. You're going to close. Welcome to South Florida. Everybody's thrilled. Are you with me so far? Yes? Great. All right. So are you ready to buy? I normally will know in advance of asking this question whether they're ready to buy. But it's altogether possible that you're speaking to somebody that might not be. So again, you want to further qualify them to ensure that you're not wasting your time. So are you ready to buy? In order to be ready to buy, you need to have a steady income. You need to have low to medium debt. You need to have cash for down payment and closing costs. And they normally verify this with, a lender will verify this with 2 months of pay stubs or bank statements. And typically they want to see 2 years within the same company or in the same industry. Does that sound like, do you have all those things in place? The answer is yes. Now, again, I normally can tell immediately that they do. If there's any hesitation, any reservation, if any of these answers are no, then we're going to pivot them to the end of this conversation very quickly until they're ready. But in this market, you do not want to waste your time with people who are not ready to buy. Trust me. All right. So getting pre-approved is very simple. Now, again, depending on whether they've told me they're working with a lender. If they're working with a lender, I'm still going to go through this anyway. But in the event that they're not, let me tell you what pre-approval looks like. You're going to choose a lender. Again, you're welcome to use your own. I'd encourage you to speak to mine. You're not married to them. You don't have to use them, but I have found that they're often a better solution than what you already have in place. So I'd encourage you to do that. At this point, they've already said yes. I've had no pushback on that. I doubt you will either. You're going to fill out a loan application. Everything's online. It's very quick. It's very easy. It's very efficient. You're going to scan in required approval documents, which are pay stubs, bank statements, tax returns, proof of employment, and you're going to need a 580 credit score or higher. Are you able to do all those things? Yes, great. No, then I'm going to ask some more questions. But for the most part, by and large, everybody says yes to all those things, and we're continuing through the presentation. All right, so now here's where we want to get very detailed, and I'm going to turn the mic over to you so you can tell me everything about what you want, right? Understanding what you're looking for in a home and a lifestyle is our number one priority. And I want to talk about the specifics of what you're looking for in both a home and a lifestyle so that we can find it for you. And at this point, I just tick through the items that they're going to be looking for, and I let them talk. And I'll ask questions, I'll develop some rapport, I'll get a firm understanding on what it is that they're looking for in terms of a home, in terms of a lifestyle, really exactly what they're looking for. So if they've got kids, there are going to be things that they want with the kids. If they're senior citizens or 55 plus, they may have a different things that they're looking for. So I want to get as detailed as possible to understand what they want so that we can obviously adjust our search so that they get the properties that they're looking for. And most of the time, well, depending on who it is, but most times it's the husband and wife that are on the call, and this can take, it takes however long it takes, but this is where you're going to want to build as much rapport as possible and really understand and learn what it is they want in a home and a lifestyle. Hopefully that all makes sense. All right, so now that we know what you're looking for, we're going to set you up on a search in the MLS so that you have access to real-time information for the properties that fit the description that you're looking for, right? Now, full disclosure, there are not going to be a ton of homes that fit those parameters. So I just want to, at this point, I'm leveling expectations to be manageable. It's funny, a lot of times at this part in the conversation, although I get very detailed as to what it looks like, they say that they understand, but they don't understand. Nobody seems to understand that the market, at least in South Florida, is completely insane. So I start to kind of role play what it looks like when we start finding homes, and depending on who it is and where they're at, this can I can pivot a million different ways, right? But if this is a relocation buyer from New York or up the Northeast or California, Northwest, whatever, the chances are there's no time for them to actually fly down here and see the property. So I'm modeling for them what it looks like. All right, so we're going to find the home, again, depending on what their timeline is, but most of the people that I'm talking to are ready to buy now. We're going to find those properties. When you find something that you're ready, that you think could be the one, you need to let me know immediately, because time is not on your side. What that means is if you found something that you think can work, We are going to write a contract for that property instantly. We're going to send that in instantly, and here without even seeing the property. Now I'm going to go there and we're going to have time, but I need you to understand that if you found a home that you have fallen in love with, there are at least 20 other buyers, 20 other families from around the country or around the world that have also found that same house that want to buy it too. So us writing a contract does not mean that you're buying the home. It means that you're preserving the right to buy it, and you're making sure nobody else can. You're locking the house up. This is a tactic. It is a strategy. You don't have to buy the home, but we absolutely need to lock it up if you think it's something that you might want to buy. I'm very, 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 very clear on that, because the truth is we don't have time. There is no time. There really are 20 other people, or 30 or 50, or I don't even know how many. There are lots of other buyers that are looking at that exact same home, and it's going to be super competitive. So we want to lock that house down as quickly as possible to preserve the right for you to be able to buy it. Are you with me so far? Yes. If they're not with me at that point, I really have to question whether I'm going to work with them or not, because the truth is we don't have time. So everything I'm saying is true. I'm not saying it to give myself an advantage. I'm just telling them the truth. If you're not prepared to follow my instructions, you got zero shot in getting this house. So I'm very clear. I set the expectations. I talk through what that process looks like, and I make sure that they understand it, because everything I'm saying is, hand to God, the truth. All right, so that's on our search. On your end, it is highly possible that you're going to find properties that I don't find, because not all sellers are going to use the MLS. So you may find another property that is your dream home somewhere else on a different portal that I don't have access to. Don't feel weird about that. Send me that property instantly, and we're going to do the exact same things. And this applies to everything. If this is Now, most of my buyers these days happen to be out of state, because they're finding me on YouTube and they want to relocate here, but not everybody. So if you're talking to somebody in person, or this is somebody local, you have to provide the framework of what it looks like if they see a new construction house, or if they find a for sale by owner. You need to coach them through, look, you find something like that, let me know immediately so I can get to work on your behalf. Don't feel weird about it, but we don't have time. So if you see anything outside of my search, let me know instantly, and we're going to jump into action immediately so that we get you exactly what you want and the best deal possible. And I'm very clear, and that's exactly what we do. So I'm coaching them through the process of what it looks like to buy a house, so there's no inefficiency, right? So if you're going out there and trying to show homes, and you're going to go show 10 homes to somebody and do the Zoom consultation and take them to the homes, and if you're going to do it the traditional way, the odds of you actually getting that house are very, very low. All right. So we're going to send you properties. You're going to find properties. We're going to get it done, right? Great. Now we're going to talk about making an offer. Your job, and it's the only thing I can't control, your job is to fall in love with the home, fall in love with the lifestyle. I'm going to control and compete with everything else. I can't do that for you. That's the one element of this that I can't control. You've got to fall in love with the home. When you do, we're going to go into action. Now, we're going to determine what the seller wants. And actually, I'm going to get even more low tech here. What we're really going to do is we're going to create rapport with the buyer's agent. We're going to make them our best friend. We're going to serve and support them and connect with them in a way that nobody else does. And this is the truth. The market, at least where I'm at, there's a lot of new agents. There's a lot of exhausted agents or burnt out agents. There's a lot of people who are just completely fried and overwhelmed, and they really, they're not nice. So we want to kill them with kindness. Kindness in this market, well, really everywhere, is a superpower. So we're going to create rapport with the buyer's agent, and we're going to get a lot of information. So the market's competitive. There are times, and this is the truth, there are times when we'll meet agents and they'll be like, well, we've got 10 offers. We can tell that they're overwhelmed. I'll start to coach them through the process I'll of course ask for their permission. Would it offend them if I told them what we would do in their situation type question. And then I'll model for them how they should present these offers. Well, first of all, how they should get control of the offers for themselves so that they can present the offers to their seller the right way. Obviously, the entire time I'm keeping my buyer's best interest in mind and selling the agent on why our buyers are the best buyers. And I'm making them love me, right? And if it's not me, it's Beth. Beth is making them fall in love with her. If it's another agent on our team, we're really leaning into low tech stuff, but these are the tiny hinges that swing big doors. We want to create rapport. We want them to like us. We want them to like our buyers. We want them to love us. We want them to love our buyers. So we want them to love our deal. And when we connect with them, and again, it doesn't necessarily have to be in person. This can be over the phone. This can be in person, but every opportunity that you have to meet with an agent, you are selling them on why they should love you. All right. So we're going to determine what the seller wants. And again, one of the questions that we're going to ask is like, when do they want to close? Some sellers want to be out yesterday. Some sellers want time. You never know. So we want to get as much information about what the seller wants so we can position your contract in a way that gives you the most competitive advantage. I know I'm talking all over the place here, but hopefully this is useful. Delicious. All right. So we're going to make an earnest money deposit. The lender will go through what the down payment and financed amounts are. I can give you a preliminary outlook of what that looks like on every contract that we write up, so you don't have sticker shock. But when you speak with the lender, you're going to have a full understanding of what that looks like. Within the contract, there are important dates that you need to be mindful of. We're going to keep you abreast of all of them, so there are no surprises and nothing gets missed. We're also going to ensure that everything that you want in the home is included in the contract. And I hate to have to even put this as part of this presentation, but the truth is not everything that you want in the home is necessarily included in the contract. And there are times where, and this is the truth, people will think that, for example, what's a good example of that? Like a built-in grill, or not even a built-in grill, or some sort of grill will be outside, or some other piece of hardware is not included in the standard contract, but they assume that it is. You can't assume anything. Anything that you want in the property needs to be written into the contract, or it's not part of the contract. So we're going to be very clear as to what you want and ensure that it's part of the contract. And then your contract's either going to be accepted, declined, or they'll make a counter and we'll start negotiating. But we'll keep you fully dialed in and we'll be totally transparent in what that process looks like, so you know. Once it's accepted, all right, you're going to make your deposit to the title company. You're going to have an inspection and repair period. Truth is, it is rare in my experience for there to be really any repairs done. That usually end up being negotiated, but you will have an inspection period. We want that timeline to be, now again, this depends on who the buyer is and what the heat of the market is, but the contract defaults to, I think it's a 15-day, not I think, it's a 15-day loan, or not loan, 15-day inspection period. That's insane because you can cancel at any point during that inspection period. A 15-day inspection is never going to, that's not going to give you a competitive advantage. So you want to reduce that to as short a time period as possible. Normally, we like to make that 5 days, and we've got plenty of inspectors that are world-class that can do that in that time frame. So now, depending on who the buyer is and what their timelines are, I may play games with both the inspection and the loan approval time period. If I'm being super aggressive and they can handle it, I'm going to make both of those as short as possible. If there are any issues that need to be addressed in any way, shape, or form, then I may pad in some more time so that they have some outs. But it really depends on who I'm talking to and what their circumstances are. And I will tailor my presentation to what best suits their needs. Then there'll be an appraisal. Now, full disclosure, in the market that we're in right now, it is very common to have the appraisal be waived completely. And here's why. The buyers that are buying in this market are moving from wherever they're at, and they don't give a hell about anything other than moving to Florida and being out of where they're at. So you need to be aware that this is something that is very common right now, and you need to we need to be very clear on what that looks like, because whatever, yes, you can have an appraisal, but if you waive that appraisal, it doesn't mean that the bank's going to. You're going to need to be able to cover that difference with your own money. So we're going to get granular on what that looks like, but we're going to be very clear as to what their financial obligation is going to be. And if they're not able to do that, then I need to understand that. And then if they really can't handle the whatever the dollar amount is, then we need to start looking at a lower price point, because the truth is an appraisal in this market is not your friend. All right. So home insurance. We're in Florida. You must have home insurance. We work with some of the best insurers out there, and we'll make sure that you have an idea of what that's going to look like. We'll get you a quote prior to you actually completing the transaction. We'll give you, I can usually give them a ballpark figure based on where the house is and, what the size of it is and stuff like that. But we'll actually give them, we'll refer them to one of our home insurance experts, and they'll get, I don't want anybody to have sticker shock on or feel house poor or any of those things. So we're going to make sure they understand what all of the financial obligations are and are cool with them, because again, you never want your buyers to have a surprise financially, or they will go from raving fans to hating you forever, and you don't want that. All right. Then we're going to finalize the mortgage details. And with that, you'll be in constant communication with us, with our lender, or your lender. We'll be working as a team. So there's never going to be sticker shock. You're going to know what everything is throughout the process. But as we move through the contract, your mortgage details will be finalized. Then we'll do the final walkthrough. Okay. Any questions so far? No. Great. All right. Now, there are closing costs. So I want you to know that there are closing costs on any real estate transaction anywhere. I'm not going to read all of them, or we're going to be here all day, but this is what they are. And if you have any questions, let me know. We're going to send them a preliminary closing cost breakdown prior to any of these things happening, but I want them to know up front that there are closing costs. It's rare that I meet somebody that isn't aware that there are closing costs, but it's possible. So you want to ensure that, especially if this is a new buyer or a first-time home buyer, they might not know these things. So you want to make sure that they understand what their financial obligations are, period, because if they don't, chances are this deal's never closing. All right. All right, closing day. This is the big day. We're going to accompany you, and now we can do this any way you want. So you're welcome to attend every step of the process. You don't have to be there for anything. Someone will be there to ensure that your best interest is always maintained. So whether that's me, whether that's Beth, or anyone else within the organization, someone will be there to ensure that you're protected.